Praise be to Allah. Let me first open up in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, to whom praises I forever do, and in the name of his last and greatest apostle, our dear leader and teacher and perfect guide, the great Elijah Muhammad. Assalamu Alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I want to welcome you to our meeting in this pandemic or COVID-19 phenomenon that's been taking place since early spring of this year. Obviously, a lot of physical activity have been shut down, and it has caught us, with blindfolds on. Instead of us becoming closer in this great time of darkness, the devil's technology have driven us further apart. So it's incumbent upon us that we stay in communication, that we contact one another, that we stay focused on the goal of Islam, the aim of Islam. And the aim of Islam, praises be to Allah, is that we get this truth in our heads and we take this truth and go build something for ourselves. So praise be to Allah, we always open our meetings up with a prayer. And brothers and sisters, you can put your telephones on mute if you don't mind. At the end of this coverage, I shouldn't be long. If you got questions, please ask them. Right now, let us pray. Surely I've turned myself to thee, O Allah, trying to be upright to he who originated the heavens and the earth. And I am not of the polytheists. My prayers and my sacrifices, my life and my death, are all for thee, Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. No associate has he, and this I am commanded. I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, and there's no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I've been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. Allah, please grant protection against all of my faults. For none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me to the best of morals. For none guides to the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals. For none can turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals but thee. O Allah, who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, to whom praises I forever do, make Messenger Elijah Muhammad successful, and the followers of Messenger Elijah Muhammad successful, here in the wilderness of North America, as thou didst make Abraham successful, and the followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and made magnified. O Allah, bless Messenger Elijah Muhammad, and bless we the followers of Messenger Elijah Muhammad, here in the wilderness of North America, as thou didst bless Abraham and the followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and made magnified in our midst today. Amen. Once again, I greet you in our nation's greetings of peace and of paradise of Assalamu Alaikum. Our subject today, brothers and sisters, is titled, The Poison Animal Eaters. Of course, we always teaching Islam and presenting Islam, and we are learning Islam. Let's not forget that. We're here to learn. In my presentation of Islam as taught by Messenger Elijah Muhammad, I'm doing more learning than I am teaching. But y'all didn't hear me. I'm doing more learning than I am teaching. So I suggest to you, brothers and sisters, that you get up in the mornings and you study, you commit yourself to really get involved with these teachings in a very real way. Not in a superficial way, but in a very real way. Because if we fail to become attached to this teaching, then we'll take it and we go off thinking that we know something that we really don't. And before you know it, we'll be trying to make Allah and His message out to be liars. And in doing so, we most surely will be the loser. Our subject is taken from an article titled, Of Land and a Nation. And we here at the Do for Self Academy Temple of Islam, we're just a small segment of the Black Muslim community, a community that is so faction, sectarian-like constructs, and even cultism. And all of this has occurred due to the falling away of what was the lost foundation of Islam, in the West, a nation that was led by Master Fard Muhammad and passed on to his messenger, the great Elijah Muhammad. And Mr. Muhammad, praises be to Allah, he taught this Islam for 43.5 years. Mr. Muhammad did not make not one mistake in his presentation on the teachings of the resurrection of the dead. He could not make a mistake. He could not be wrong. You and I may not understand, which is okay. You're not supposed to understand everything. But what we're not supposed to do is run away and start making things up as we go. Because Messenger Muhammad teaches us in the message to the black man in the first sentence. He said for thousands of years, the people were just guessing. He said for thousands of years, the people who did not have the knowledge of the reality of the person of God, what they started doing? They started making things up, making him other than who he really is. They started coming up with their own interpretation. And this is a marker. A lot of times we look at the message teachings, we read his articles, we listen to it, and we miss pearls because it's so weighty and it's so good and it fills us up. But sometimes you can eat really good food and it doesn't do you any good from a medicinal standpoint. Food is our medicine, and we are given a dietary law of how to eat to live. Am I right or wrong? He said that the mental food works in conjunction with what? The physical food. How we think works directly with what we eat. So here we are today, looking at this poison animal. Let's look at something to verify what I'm talking about this morning, or this afternoon, pardon me. The message said the very first sentence. And those of you who've been around for a while, and those of you who are new, we hope to impart on you or upon you, as well as ourselves, the importance of being able to comprehend Islam. As I've said previously, too many times we overindulge. We overdose on the message teachings. And we never get the medicinal properties that make us healthy and productive. We know some stuff, but we understand very little. I'm going to repeat this. We know a few things, but we understand very little. And this lack of understanding causes us to disbelieve in that which we know to be the truth. I kept trying to figure out how are we going to reconcile. How do you and I know a thing to be true, but don't believe it? You know that the white man is evil. You know that the white man is the devil, but you don't want to believe it. Why? And the message is going to answer this today. And I'm going to use, leverage his teachings and his examination to show and prove this mental illness and why this mental illness is running prevalent in us today. We have to blame our parents, depends on your age. I'm a little past 60 years old. So when this article was written or put in this book, it was 1965. He was talking to my parents and your parents and your great parents, your grandparents, and my grandparents and great grandparents.
Yes. Hello?
Sister, can you please put your telephone on mute? My goodness. So let's get to this program. I asked y'all to put your telephones on mute. I understand. Of land and a nation. This is taken from page 222. And this is one of these points. What we must understand today is the importance of acquiring land of our own. Just think about that for a second. This is 1965 when this article was put in what we refer to as the message to the black man. You heard the brother say he's been reading the message books for 30 years. But I guarantee you, he missed it. Like all the rest of us missed it. And how can we prove that we missed it? Where's our land that we have acquired? In the name of our Lord, in the name of Allah who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, in obedience with his messenger Elijah Muhammad. Where is the land that we should have acquired? We don't have it. So that means you and I, we do not understand what we read. We just read it and make us feel good. But we never internalize it. Why? Why we never internalize it? Well, he's going to give you this answer. I'm not going to be long. Praise be to Allah. And I hope not to be wrong. The message says on page 223. He said, in order to build a nation, you must first have some land. And how many times have we read this article and we just read it like it's just a regular book in the library, but we fail to pick up on this directive? He said, from our first generation of slaves to the present generation of our people, we have been unable to unite and acquire some land of our own due to the mental poisoning of our former slave masters, who destroyed in us the desire to think and do for self and kind. Now, many times we read that and we think that he's talking to somebody else. No, brother Jasir Khabir, he's talking to your blind, deaf, and dumb behind, sir. He's talking to me. And that's how you got to approach this teaching, brothers and sisters. And this is how you grow in Islam. You have to take it personally. And that way, we will be able to accept our own and be ourselves. Praise be to Allah. And he said that's the greatest teaching he gave us, is to accept your own and to be yourself. So if you accept the fact that you are full of misunderstanding, foolishness, and folly, just accept it and be that until you what? Get better. But there's no need running around claiming to be something that you don't even understand what it is you're supposed to be doing. Why? He said, because due to the mental poisoning from our former slave masters, who destroyed the desire in us to do something for self and kind. We have to take that on its own merit. We have to stop and analyze that sentence. And too many times, brothers and sisters, we just don't. So the subject of land shows up. We ignore it. I was in a conversation with a good brother. I'm not going to call his name, on social media a couple of weeks ago. And we was talking about land, and he was just like, no, that's not going to happen. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We got to wait on Allah. But the message already told you that the black man is Allah. The message already told you that what? We're supposed to unite and acquire some land of our own. To do what with? To build our own civilization. What we're going to use to build said civilization? We have to use the new knowledge, this new wisdom, this wisdom of Master W.D. Farad Muhammad, to whom praise Allah do forever. This is why we need land. We don't need land just to grow apples and oranges and raise livestock, etc. Have warehouses. But that's not the only reason why we need it. No, we need land to what? To grow a new people. And this process of growing a new people is going to take centuries. But we got to get started. So too many times, brothers and sisters, we never even get started. To make devil, what must you do first? To make devil, you must first do what? You must have a beginning. Sometimes we fail to pick up on the beginning. We have to begin. And like your parents and my parents, they failed to obeyed the messenger. So they passed this seed of dependency onto you and I. And here you are, 55 years later. You're going to pass this seed of dependency on down to your children. And they're going to pass it on down to their children. And so on and so forth. Somewhere along the line, brothers and sisters, we have to harness enthusiasm. We have to create the spirit of togetherness, of unity, of love, of trust. This is something we have to build. But you first got to give up the drugs, man. Stop trying to make yourself that which you're not. And that's our work today here at the Do for Self Academy Temple of Islam. We're here confined to the labor of Islam to correct the many errors. The errors, well, in understanding, in presentation. So, we don't give it a second thought about this mental poisoning. So we get a little teaching, and we want to go off and do our own thing. The message said today, the international conception of honor, pride, and dignity is not concerned with individuals within a country, but is rather concerned with your work and value as a part of an established nation. But due to our mental poisoning, we ignore this teaching as if he's talking to the other black people. No, Negro, he's talking to you. He's talking to you, sister. He's talking to you, brother. You say you believe. You're supposed to be the example for it. But no, you want to take a little bit of the teaching and go about it as if you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you don't. So you misrepresent the teaching. You start dividing it into different little sects. Message said if you do that, you can be just like the Christians, just like Christianity. Everybody want their little part. So we hear our laborers. I'm charging you with getting more involved. Because Allah is not going to bless us with no people. And they're not going to bless us to keep people if you don't understand what we're supposed to be doing. And as one of my mentors told me about 4 years ago, he said, brother, we're not going to get a lot of people. And when the people come, they're going to be in bad shape. And we got to whip them in shape. They're going to be in bad shape mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. But we can't be running around mournful, sorrow, overtaxed, overburdened. Because that's nothing but what? Mental poisoning. So let's look at the lessons to justify this. I'm going to repeat this. The message said today, the international conception of honor, pride, and dignity is not concerned with individuals within a country, but is rather concerned with your work and value as a part of an established nation. In order to be recognized today, you must represent your nation. This is why we need to get this national registry going. We don't even have a census of who's who. So we got people running all around the country, causing trouble among the righteous. They've been with that group. They've been with that splinter group. And by the time they get to us, they know every damn thing and don't understand nothing. So sometimes we just got to disarm you because you think you know that which you don't. The message is answer, and the Savior's question is going to give you that. He said we must understand the importance of land to our nation. The first and most important reason that the individual countries of Europe, Africa, and Asia are recognized as nations is because they occupy a specific area of the earth. Second, they are recognized because of the effectiveness of their internal unity and policies, and then by their enactment of international policies and agreements with other established nations. He said that the black man has been actually worthless when it comes to exercising the rights as human beings in an ever-advancing civilization. So remember, we cannot demand recognition until we have some land that we can call our own. Then he said, you might argue that this is impossible, but I say to you, with Almighty Allah God on my side, this is not only possible, but is in the working for our people and will manifest itself soon. Now, do you think he lied? If you think he told a lie? Because if you think he told a lie, then you might as well just go get a shotgun and blow your damn head off. Because he can't lie to us. Because he brought the only solution to solve this problem between the two people. Praise be to Allah. Who is the 85%? Answer: the uncivilized people, poison animal eaters, slaves from mental death and power, people who do not know the living God or their origin in this world, and they worship that they know not what, who are easily led in the wrong direction, but hard to lead into the right direction. Now, you got to ask yourself the question, do we have land that we call our own? Have we been able to unite and acquire some land? And if we haven't, which we haven't, we're working on it, don't get me wrong now, but up to this point we haven't done it. So if we haven't done it, we got to go back and qualify why we haven't. And he just told you. It's due to the mental poisoning of our former slave masters. And this what makes us 85% poison animal eaters. See, these so-called 5%ers, they call themselves the nations of gods and earths. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just some grafted bunch. They have no idea. And the Savior knew this already because he knew us pretty well. And he taught and trained his messenger how to do this. So some people will take a little bit of the teachings and they'll be like Columbus, who want to go find their own route to Asia. And who did Columbus find when he got here? Found some hard-headed Indians. And who came after Columbus? They brought us, another people that was pretty much off the path. But we never want to look at that. So the body of the supreme wisdom, it gives us the tools, the intellectual weaponry to get this brown germ out of us once and for all. But too many times we're like politicians. If it don't happen in our lifetime, we run right back to the devil. So the question asks us on this actual fact board, which one will survive the war of Armageddon? You think you're surviving it, but you're not. You lost. Why? Because your mind is over here. And because your mind is over here, but yet you claim to be in Islam. So that brings about mental confusion. Because you're double-minded. You're neither hot nor cold. You see, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So I asked the question, how can you know a thing to be true, but still would not believe in it? Well, let's refer to question and answer number 9 from lesson number 2. Why does the devil teach the 85% that a mystery God brings all this? Answer: to conceal the true God, which is the Son of Man, and make slaves out of the 85% by keeping them worshiping something he knows they cannot see, invisible. And he lives and makes himself rich from their labor. The 85% knows that it rains. Listen to it carefully now. The 85% knows that it rains, hail, and snows. Also hears thunder above his head. But they do not try to learn who is it that causes all this to happen by letting the 5% teach them. He believes in the 10% on face value. See, the message answer said they know. These people know. So we know a thing is true, but we still don't believe it. We try not to learn. How do we manifest our trying not to learn when we refuse to allow the 5% to teach us? And this 5%, 85% dynamic is a very fluid and organic one. You can have an 85% moment one day and a 5% moment the next. Because you don't know everything and I don't know everything. So we have to deal in the circle of truth, the circle of wisdom. But too many times we want to be like Yaqub, born 20 miles outside of the circle of wisdom, outside of what? The holy city Mecca. And we want to make a new man. But you can make a new man, but you just can't make him here with us. Poison. Poison. In an article titled, The Coming of the Son of Man, in the same book, Message to the Black Man, the messenger wrote, "You are poisoned by the devil's touch." See, that's this unlike attracting power. Poison is defined as a substance that is capable of causing the illness or death of a living organism when introduced or absorbed. A substance with an inherent property that tends to destroy life or impair health. Something harmful that impedes our happiness or well-being. Mental, relating to the mind, relating to disorders of the mind. What are some of the characteristics of mental poison? Anxiety, fear, anger, jealousy, desire, depression. What are some of the basic causes? Greed, ignorance, and hatred. See, Mr. Muhammad gave us a full-blown program. He even gave us a prayer. He said this one prayer that we should recite 7 times a day. Because it what? It's our greatest hindrance to freedom and independence. And I'm going to close with that prayer, or that article in which the prayer is housed. I'm going to another article in the Message to the Black Man. And this article is titled, in the judgment section, the breakup of the old world. See, the messenger, he couldn't lie. He couldn't be in conflict with his own teaching. And he's repeating the same thing. His teaching is very repetitive. But the way he expressed it proves that he was the genius of the divine. He wasn't just a genius, but a divine genius. You got a lot of people that are geniuses, but they're not divine. They are other than divine. He's a divine genius. For him to have a third grade education. But the scripture said that what? Allah will put, he'd be a man likened unto Moses, risen up from among your own brethren. And say Allah will put his words in his mouth. So what we hear the messengers teach, they're from the mouth of Master Farad Muhammad. To whom praises I forever do. Taken from an article titled The Breakup of the Old World. On page 268. This is why we are running around with this mental illness. All the mighty men of science and modern warfare have been called in an effort to devise instruments and weapons against God and the armies of heavens. The nations of the earth are angry. He said the disbelievers and the hypocrites of my people also are angry over the change of the old world to a new world of justice and righteousness, causing much spiritual darkness and misunderstanding to fall upon them. This is your mental illness. This is your poison animal. We ingest this poison animal because we don't want to give up this world. We've become so immersed and locked in to how we function and being touched by the devil's poison. And it may not necessarily mean that you're partaking in something evil. You could be taking care of your family. You could go buy a house or a car, or doing some things that you need to do to take care of your family, but you're doing it under this world's rule. And that's why the message gave us an entire program. How to save your money, what to spend your money on. Don't waste it on television and cars and clothing and things of that nature. It wasn't just an economic program, it is a divine program. Praises be to Allah. It was all for one purpose. You don't do how to eat to live just so you can live long enough to be a nigger in America. No, you do how to eat to live, brothers and sisters, so you can become a new person to help build a new world. They don't need bragging about, this is my 35th Ramadan. I've been doing Ramadan for 50 years. But you still ain't got no damn land. Savior's